Hello and welcome to Creative Wonder. I'm your host, Tae Photography. I've always been curious about how other creatives run their businesses, how they find clients, market themselves, and somehow turn ideas into actual income. Each episode, I sit down with creative professionals to dig into their marketing strategies, how they use photography, and the real story behind how they got to where they are. The wins, the weird pivots, and the what am I even doing moments. And hey, if you're enjoying this show, it would mean a lot if you hit follow, leave a rating, or share it with someone who loves creative chaos as much as we do. All right, let's get into it. Hey, Sarah. So glad you could be here today, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about your business and yourself and where you got to be where you are. So if we could just start off with you telling me a little bit about your business of interior design, that would be
Sure.
great.
Yes. So thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I always am interested in chatting with other industry professionals. Obviously, you do photography, I do interior design, but it all kind of aligns. So thanks so much for including me. I've been in the business of interior design for over 25 years. I
Wow.
started my career, yeah, quite a while. I can't even believe sometimes when I look back to those days. But anyway, where did the time go? So I have been in the industry for quite a while. I started my career, I went to Sheridan College. I took the 3-year interior design program. And then when I graduated, I worked for the corporate office of Benjamin Moore in Toronto. So part of my job there was to do retail space planning for the Benjamin Moore stores across Ontario and in Canada. And then I also did a lot of spokesperson work through a TV show that many people may know if they're in the older crowd, called City Line. Although City Line kind of just, they may not have known me from back in my 20s when I was on there. And then when I had my daughter, I left that whole thing corporate wise, and then I came in doing residential interior design. And yeah, so ever since that's kind of been my thing. I've always done public speaking, and I've done lots of different realms of the industry, which I love. So now primarily I focus on residential with a little bit of commercial design.
I remember City Line, and I remember taking a portrait of you when you worked for Benjamin
Yes.
Moore way back.
Yeah, like, I guess we're old, Tay, I don't know, but older
How
and
long ago was
wiser
that? Like
isn't a bad thing. Yeah, like, well, I'm
17, 18
50
years
now,
ago?
so well, I'm longer than that, yeah, I guess around my daughter's 20 now, so I guess but way
My
back
gosh,
probably, when maybe, like, yeah, over 20 years ago now, so yeah,
that's
it's
crazy.
time flies. Yes. So, yes, I do remember that, and I still think I have those photos maybe? But
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Anyhow.
where did your interest start? Like, was there a moment or experience or a person that inspired you to pursue interior design?
So funny thing is, my dad always wanted me to get into his industry. He was a dentist, and he's like, "Oh, it'd be a great job, come and work with me, and you could eventually be a hygienist or a dentist or whatever you want to be." Well, my mother soon stepped in and said, "Okay, she is not that person. I have a creative, disposition." My mom soon stepped in and said, "Yeah, I don't think that's working." So my mom kind of inspired me to she saw the creativity in me, and that I would say as a creative person too, that I definitely, bounce around with lots of ideas. I'm not one of those people that can like focus on science or math and just stick to that. Like it's like straight and an arrow, right? Whereas as a creative person, we like to be doing all sorts of different things,
Hmm.
right? So my mom stepped in. I had worked at a local, like, decor shop with a friend of hers, started there, and then, yeah, it kind of just thankfully, my mom realized my, talents and what I was, interested in doing, and that's really where it all kinda began.
That's so cool. I'm glad to hear that. It's neat to hear
Yes.
people's origin stories a little bit. So when you first started out, how did you build your client base and what kind of lessons did you learn from that hustle early on?
Well, it's funny. So basically, as I started on, I was looking after my daughter as well. So I was kind of in it to a little bit more on the part-time side. And then as time went on, I realized like it's a hustle. So I kind of, and then I got divorced and I had to figure out a way to earn an income as a single mom. And that really drives, a lot. It's when you have to, work on things on your own, and I don't complain about it, and I never use that as a crutch because I absolutely love what I do. I love the hustle of it. and I love doing that. So, it really just kind of catapulted into realizing what I needed to do in the industry to set myself apart.
So getting in front of people, showing what you can do, standing out
Yes.
from the crowd, that kind of thing. And are there
Yes, yeah.
specific ways that you, um, like, advertise yourself, like, or bring clients in, or is it mostly, like, online stuff?
So the interior design industry is a little bit kind of jaded in the fact that a lot of people don't know the difference between interior design and interior decor. So I'm an interior designer in that I have the education behind me as well as technical drawings and AutoCAD. So we do a lot of technical side where we're working on new builds alongside an architect or a builder. Of course, we do the decor side as well, but we basically do a lot when it comes to the interior design side. So I would say that in a community like we're here in Brantford, I would set myself apart in the fact that we do a lot of the technical side, which a lot of people don't know of. And a lot of people aren't aware of the difference between the two sides of the industry.
And is that
So I say,
something
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, finish your
So I
thought.
would say that's kind of what would set us apart in this community, and then also just because one thing that I know sets me apart in general in the GTA area is that I do offer a lot of different variations in how we can help people. So we never would say, "Oh, your budget's not enough, we can't help you." There's always ways that we look to trying to help. So that's something I like to market for myself is how can I definitely get in there and give someone a hand whether they have $1 million or they have a small amount of money. So everybody can, work with us in some way. And I feel that that's a good way to set apart because sometimes there's a stigma to interior designers where, oh, they're too snobby, they're too expensive, they can't help me. And so I would say my roots here back in Brantford do help me because I don't like to have that persona of we can't help you. We can't, you don't have enough money for me and I'm not going to help you with things that might be a grandmother's heirloom that you want to keep in your house. Like, so those are the things I feel do set me apart.
That's pretty cool. Um, so did you learn a lot of that technical side of the craft from Sheridan? Or did you
Yes.
kinda learn on your
So
own?
no, well, both. Like, I mean, obviously you learn the fundamentals in school, but once you actually get into the industry and you learn like the real ins and outs of what's needed, especially being on construction sites. So you can draw a pretty picture all day long, but if it doesn't, function and isn't constructed accordingly. So the experience, I think, is as much as I say, yeah, I'm older and everything, the experience is great because I've been through a lot of different renovations with people. I've been through a lot of builds and construction sites and understanding the fundamentals of how a space is actually built, making sure the electrical and all of the things that are necessary are in place in proper locations and how we're going to actually work with the space, not as much about what it's going to look like in the end, but there's a lot that goes into the preparation in the beginning. So Sheridan's a great place, obviously, to learn the fundamentals, but I work with a team of designers as well that work alongside me, and we all have our skills and expertise. And so we all are collaborative team in how we approach the jobs.
I know when I went to college for photography, which was a long time ago, um, they taught me all about photography, but very little about business, very little bit about how to, um, manage your money and budget and forecast your, future income and all these things. Like, did Sheridan give you any of that kind of information, or did you have to learn that on the job as you went?
Think that's the thing that's missing a lot in education in general because there really isn't any like a lot of times you were just like, oh, you have Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they want to build a house. There's no budget, no nothing, and you're working, oh, this is fun. Like I can pick whatever I want. And that's not reality. So I think that the issue that a lot of way back when, and again, I don't know what it is much about but now, but I do see when I have students working with me, they have no idea about the business side of it, how to actually profit and how to actually make money and how to actually work with clients and deal with confrontations, deal with the communication aspect and the business side of it, because obviously running a business isn't just about the fun and the pretty, it's about how you're actually profiting. And so behind the scenes, I think that's really important as any creative industry, because as creatives, we tend to be a little squirrely. At least I am. I like lots of things. Like I see a color and then I want to dart over and look at another thing or look at a fabric and staying focused. So I think like that's definitely something I would say, is an area of interior design that is overlooked, and I think it's really important to learn that. And so I would say, no, I hadn't didn't learn really any aspect of it. And I think having different mentors and different people working alongside, like a bookkeeper and all of these people that are super important to any business, helped me realize that you don't wanna lose money.
Mhm. I know. I think that's, like, so true for so many creatives, or any, business entrepreneurs where they know how to do one thing, but then the rest of the business also needs to be taken care of
Yes.
as well, and it's like, "Oh, I didn't learn that." So,
Right.
um,
Right.
okay, so this next question could be applicable to all creatives in general, but how do you price your creativity? Like, how do you convey to your client, the cost of what you do?
Well, that's a great question because I think that as creatives, it's very, very difficult for people to understand what we do. So someone could say to you, "Oh, all you did was came in and took a picture. Big deal. Why does that cost me money?" Someone could say to me, "All you did is picked a wallpaper. Why should I pay for that?" Right? So, I think that that's the challenge that we all face as creatives, because it's very hard to put a price tag on something that is, picking a wallpaper could take me 2 hours because I have to look at the size of the paper, the application of the paper, the price of the paper, a lot of different variables, the installation prices, all of these things, right? So that's like 5 steps for just one wallpaper that it takes. Same for you, the preparation of, taking the shot. And when we do architectural shots, there's a lot of details that go into it, making refinement and, so I think that is the one challenge. So the way that we do it is essentially experience really helps because we can basically work by hours. So what I try to do is work more on like a flat fee format, because I feel like a lot of time interior design can be done in an hourly basis where the client never knows what they're actually going to pay. So that's a really open-ended thing for anybody. I don't know about you, but I never like going into anything where I don't know what my end pay is going to be. So it's very important the communication that goes into the process of making people very aware of what actually is happening and what's going into it, because I think there's not enough explanation behind what you do. And I think that it's really imperative to be clear with a client. So the more changes they want to make, the more they want to step in and the more they want to tweak, obviously that's important up front to say, you either have to trust the process and understand I've been doing this for many, many years and this is the hours associated. Um, and but if you wanna step in and, as soon as I've picked your couch and your living room and your whole thing and you say, "Now I want it to be pink instead of blue," well, that's a whole other thing. So, I think pricing creativity is very, very difficult, but I think it's really important to give people an understanding of why. So, like, Picasso might have painted a piece that took him many, 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 many years. And it's hard to put a price tag on that, obviously, but it's like the steps that are taken. Sometimes we walk away because we need a break and then we come back to it because we are creatives and we're like, oh, you know what? I need to sleep on that and I'll come up with something new and some idea. And so I think it's important just from experience for us is that tracking our hours and understanding this is how long it took and making people understand we're the professionals, we have methods and we have reasons for why we do things. And that's really, really key. So communication would be my biggest thing when it comes to pricing.
Absolutely. I know some of the problems we run into once in a while are scope creep. With
Yes.
projects, they say, "Oh, it's going to be this size," and then as you're discussing it and planning it, it gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And if you've given them a flat rate, it's like, this is worth so much more than I originally quoted for you."
And I
So
think as creatives, that's really hard for us too. I mean, I don't know about you, but I hate talking about money. I hate asking for more. I hate, because I'm very forthcoming with how I need to make my money. Obviously, this is how it works. This is the process. But having things in writing too, so that they're very aware that Just because I'm at your house looking at your living room and now you decide for me to do your powder room, that doesn't mean it's tagged onto the living room. It's still another
Right.
space in the house. Or yes, you've asked for a paint color, but still takes my time that I didn't account for. So I think that's where, it's really important for anybody in business to have a very good, um, again, communication with the client in writing so that they're very aware of what scope creep means and what it entails from a cost perspective.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Do you have like a strategy in how you approach your online visuals to appeal to ideal clients?
When it comes to the visuals, obviously the photography is super, super important of how we attract people. And again, it's back to that like explanation behind the website so that people understand. Because I can say all day long, you need a floor plan. Well, what does that mean for people? What does having a floor plan and an elevation mean? I can say words that are industry, and the average person will not understand what I mean by that. So I think it's very important that the visuals are supported by what we're actually doing. And I think that we have to go in thinking that people don't know anything about anything when it comes to our industries. And so that's where the visuals are super important for us to give a description on what am I actually getting? So what does a floor plan look like? It looks like this. What does a lighting plan look like? It looks like this. And that's really important for us to give a really good clarity on what are you actually getting from a creative standpoint versus a bunch of words that mean nothing to anybody.
So when you're showing your work online in a portfolio, um, do you want it to have a similar kind of look as far as your style goes, or would you just put up all the best images that you have, even if they have different styles or different looks?
Well, every job has a different style. So I would say that when I approach a job, I would never say, like, this is my style and this is every job. So when I do my website, I like to categorize it by project. So it's a story, basically telling a story of what happened in that project from they're doing their kitchen and their kitchen opens to the living room. How does it look as a whole with some detail shots too, so that it gives the detail of what actually went into this kitchen to make it special, what actually did a designer do that is different than an average whatever Home Depot, say, kitchen, or maybe I can't use that word, but anyway, just a random store that doesn't really specialize in something like we do. So I think that's very important, is to show the detail that goes into, well, why should you hire a designer? So the photography really has to represent that on our website.
What's your process for getting to know a client that's new, and figuring out like what works for them as far as style, or getting to know what they like and figuring out that whole process of coming up with a design for them?
Well, I think social media is super helpful because I often ask people to create a Pinterest board of things they love and things they don't love. Because when I start to see things they love, so let's say we're working on a kitchen, and if they show me pictures of kitchens and, 50% are green and the rest of them are, there's a commonality. 90% might be white, and I know they love white kitchens. My job obviously is to not take a picture and interpret it. It's to take what they love and what they like and what I see a common thread so that I can work with them and say, okay, I see that there's a common thread here. You like such and such a style, maybe more traditional, more whatever. Then I take it from there. I also want to know what they don't love. Like, if you
Hmm.
hate a particular style, show me what you hate, because we don't want to incorporate that. So I do ask people to give me, because everybody can look at a picture and know they either like it or they don't when it
Yeah.
comes to a room, right? So that's really helpful for us to get a sense. And colors and direction and questionnaires and all of the things that, like, what is your favorite color? Everybody has a
Hmm.
favorite color, whether it's incorporated fully in your house or in bits and pieces. That's important too.
How do you think design influences the way people feel and behave in their homes?
Well, I think it's absolutely super important. Obviously, when it comes to interior design, budget is really important, because if we could all have a home that we absolutely loved walking into, I'm sure we all would, right? So that's the challenge when it comes to interior design, is having the budget to be able to produce a space that you love walking into. But it doesn't mean that you can't have a nice space. And I think that, color is so key to that, because you could paint
Hmm.
an accent wall in a color that you absolutely love. and it can instantly make you feel or take you away somewhere. If you loved a Caribbean location and you want to paint a beautiful blue wall, it might make you evoke feelings of serenity and comfort or whatever that is. So the psychology of color is so important to that, and I did a lot of research on that all my life when I worked for Benjamin Moore too. So I think that's super key is not being afraid of color and making sure that people are using the color to make a feeling of the house.
How has the meaning of home changed since the pandemic? And what does the future home look like to you in terms of design, tech, or lifestyle?
Um, Basically, the tech side of design can be challenging because of the AI, right? So a
Mm.
lot of times people think, oh, all I have to do is go on there and I can just plug in my room and I can instantly create it. I don't need a designer. That's challenging because there still is a lot that goes into it, the dimensions, the locations of the HVAC, the plumbing, the like I don't really believe that AI can really actually do that for us. So I think the technical side can be good in two ways. That one from a like a logistics standpoint, in that we have a lot of record keeping, being able to really get understanding of clients. So I think that that's really important. Um, because paperwork and trails and emails and all of those things are so key. But from a designer's perspective, I hate because people will say, I want my room to look like this, but it's not reality.
Mm.
You still need a
I totally
person
get
in
that.
my view. Yeah. You still
I
need
love and
someone.
hate AI.
Me too.
It's a
Yes.
love-hate
I
relationship.
love it for many, many reasons, but I hate it for many reasons as well. So I
I
think
know.
there's a place for it, but I think, interior design, and I'm sure you would probably attest to the same in a photography thing, whereas like, why do I need a photographer when all I can do is put it in AI and it'll fix it up for me? That is so not like if I did that with all of my photographs for my spaces, they would never look real. And the point
Mhm.
of doing that when it comes to portraits like you or whatever, you obviously want to represent the person in a realistic form. There's no point me walking to someone's house when you've made me look like I'm 25 years old on AI, right? Like that's, oh wow, I thought she was a lot like I didn't know she was 25. And those are the things that's fake about it. I don't love it with AI because it just
Yeah.
produces like a fake result when it
And I
comes to
think it
creativity.
overpromises at the moment. Like I downloaded an app, an AI app a while ago just to test it out and see how good it was. And basically you take a bunch of pictures of yourself and then you tell it what style of portrait that you
Yep.
want to see of yourself.
Yep.
And cuz there's a bunch of these coming up on online and I was like, "Ugh, this could be detrimental to my business." But anyways, so I tried it out and I didn't think it looked anything like me. Like maybe other people might see some similarities, but I was like, this doesn't look like me. I don't feel authentic in this photo. It doesn't feel like
Yeah.
the real me.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was just interesting to see what it was like. Maybe they'll be getting better and more accurate as times goes on. I know AI is getting better every month,
Yeah,
but
but being
still.
authentic is and transparent is also very important too, right? So I
Mm.
think that you don't want to look or produce something that's not your work. And I see that a lot, even just when you interview people, you're like, you did not write that. Like, I want to know what you can actually do and what you can actually write and not manipulate it. So it can be challenging from that perspective too, when you're looking to hire people or you're looking for like the interior designers who might be in the younger crowd. They need to produce the work that they can produce, not what AI can do. Because ultimately, when you get in the job, you don't have AI behind you. You actually do the work yourself.
And how much of your design work is based on intuition and experience, and how much is based on like behavioral research? And by that, I mean like um, figuring out the style and the way a design is going to interact and affect people based on like psychology of photos, I mean, colors and things like that. Like, it might be a balance for you, but do you lean more on experience or do you research like what these people need?
I think everybody is different, so experience doesn't really help that. I think it's important to have conversations with people of like, okay, what causes you? And I actually would say I would have learned a little bit of this from my sister, who's a therapist, is like really understanding people and having a conversation with them. So, what is it that stresses you out? Well, it stresses me out when I'm in a renovation. Okay, so maybe renovation's not for you. Maybe we should just do your house and make it look nice with a refresh, or like, how do you like to communicate? Do you love email? Do you like phone calls? Do you like, all of these things? So I think it's a really important to get to know your client. So experience is great, which this, I guess, experience has taught me to do this, is to really get a sense of the person that I'm working with, so that when we are working with them, they're also following our process. So we don't want to let them take over, but we need to understand their communication style and, making sure they understand the process and being very clear to get to know them and what their styles are and what they like in their lifestyle. And if someone loves to cook, then obviously it's really
Hmm.
important in their kitchen that we have appliances that are suitable for that. If they don't love to cook, maybe they spend more money on the countertops, things like that, right? So I think that lifestyle and all of those applications are super important to understanding the client to be able to do the right work for them.
How do you stay inspired and, keep your creativity fresh?
I'm always searching for new vendors and new opportunities, especially now because of the tariffs and all of the aspects that we're facing from a cost perspective. So I do like to seek out a lot of Canadian sources where possible. But the creativity, going to trade shows, like often I will go to High Point Market, which is in North Carolina. It's like the biggest trade show for the design community. It's basically like a block's worth of, I would say, like, probably 4 blocks worth of vendors from all over the world.
Wow.
And so I love going to that because I will see some very beautiful, different, unique things that are not available to the average person, and that's what's super key for what I do in my business, is making sure that we're not using the ordinary. So you could do the ordinary yourself, but if you want it to be extra special and detailed, then that's why you come to designers, so that I can speak to the pieces that I've seen and speak to why I feel this is the right piece for you, because it might be the showstopper in your house. And then taking a high-low approach is what I try to do. So yeah, I get definitely inspired. I mean, Instagram, obviously, Pinterest, all of those things. Reading, podcasts, those are all things that I really enjoy for
Hmm.
inspo.
Looking
Yeah.
back at your career, is there any particular project that you're, very proud of?
Well, I would say I have many that I'm proud of, but what I'm most proud of, I guess, is that the place I've come in my career, where I have a studio that is a beautiful historical home on Bryn Ave, and I was able to transform it into what was a fairly dated, dingy-ish looking space, and create a space that is probably very different than what many people would do or see. Like, so when they look at that as a design portfolio, I think it really speaks to the level of work that we actually can do. And that means that the level of work we do where we take control of the project. And that's where the disconnect can sometimes happen in the business, is that, let us do our job, let us paint you the art. Paint the piece. Don't stand behind me and tell me what brush to use and what paint to pick. That's where the issue can come in play. A creative person never likes to be told what paintbrush to pick up. We know what to do, and especially with experience. So the one I am most proud of, I would say, is owning this property on Brand Ave, a historical home, and transforming it. So that's my most recent, most proud moment, I would say.
Mhm, and I've seen it, and it's quite impressive. When I first came in, I was like, "Ooh, this is quite
Thank you
the
so
quite the
much.
place."
Thank
So,
you.
yeah,
Yeah, I do love it. And I know you took some photos for us, and they will be soon on the website as well, some upcoming shots. So I'm really excited about that.
very cool. Well, thank you so much for being willing to chat with me about your business and how you market it and how you run it, and, it's great advice and it's great information, so thank you so much.
Thank you. It was absolute pleasure. And thank you from one creative to another. I think it's amazing that we can connect this way.
Yeah, I love it. I feel very inspired when I'm around other creative people, so it's
Me
important
too.
for me to keep that up.
Thanks,
All right.
Tay. I appreciate it.
That's it for this episode of Creative Wonder with Tae. Thanks for giving it a listen. This podcast is produced by Tae Photography. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to follow the show, leave a comment or rating, and share it with someone who'd love it too. It really makes a difference. And if you need commercial photography that actually grabs attention instead of getting lost in the scroll, get in touch. My goal is to take the chaos out of commercial shoots and turn them into a smooth, easy process. You can find me online at tae.ca or on Instagram at tae_creatives. If there's a creative business topic you want us to cover, send me a message. I'm always looking for new ideas. Keep making things that spark wonder. Thanks for tuning in.